Yo, what's up? It's Coach Key. I'm back with another video. This is Lucifer. We got a special guest today. He actually finna tell y'all his story. This is why I'm so glad that he decided to do this. He purring right now, so he getting ready. But but this Lucifer. Everybody say hi to Lucifer. Lucifer say hi to everybody. It's funny because before I even press play, he up here. Look, he ready to get down. Before I press play, he up here, I guess, clawing on my leg. Not really, but to get up here. Like, this is new behavior. Clearly, he liked the camera. I'm gonna assume that because this is the longest he ever just let me help. He chilling. He really chilling. That's crazy. Alright, but like I said, oh, there you go. Alright, so now that Lucifer had his 5 seconds of fame, let's get into the video. So I'm gonna start off with a metaphor. And this metaphor to me is the perfect example of what it is we go through when we're coming back online and when it comes to the spiritual journey overall, and how it's all about trusting the process. So the metaphor that I'm talking about is the caterpillar transforming into the butterfly. We all know that a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, but not too many people know the process that caterpillar has to go through in order to become that butterfly. So we know that the caterpillar lays an egg, that egg hatches into a larvae, that larvae just eats and eats and eats until it gets enough energy to create a chrysalis to become that butterfly. But within that process and all that energy that it's gaining, there are these cells that are lying dormant. Now, the caterpillar is born with these cells. The caterpillar are born with these cells just like we are born with these cells. We have the same cells within us. And these cells that I'm talking about are the imaginable disc. These imaginable discs lie dormant in that caterpillar until it has enough energy to create the chrysalis. Now, when that caterpillar begins to make that chrysalis, or before that caterpillar creates that chrysalis, before the caterpillar creates that chrysalis, what happens is it starts to do like this pulsing thing, or it's like it's activating the cells. Now, when these cells come online and they start to multiply, they're multiplying by the hundreds. So one cell is 100 more cells, 2 cells is 200 more cells, and so forth and so forth. So when that happens, those cells, is so many of them that it begins to take over the caterpillar, to the point to where that caterpillar literally splits itself open and begins to build a chrysalis around its body. When that caterpillar builds that chrysalis around its body, it becomes goo. Now, the kicker is, when that caterpillar becomes that goo, that caterpillar is still alive. That caterpillar did not die. That caterpillar just turned into goo with all its like nerves and the rest of it is still there. So it's alive during this process. It's experiencing this process. And if you think about it, putting yourself in that caterpillar's shoes, that has to be the most painfulest thing ever, to split yourself open and create this chrysalis around your body to become goo, and everything else is still intact. Now, I'm not sure what that actually entails when I say intact, but I know that it becomes goo and there is like the nerves and all that, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's just as simple as that. Goo, nerves, and all that shit is still there. And it spends 2 weeks, which is 14 days, inside this chrysalis, forming and becoming and transforming into this butterfly. Now, when you think about that butterfly and its transformation and what it's doing and it's transforming, first of all, 14 days. If you know anything about numerology, you know that 14 breaks down to 5. You also know that 5 is the vibration of change. Each number has a vibration, and 5 is the number of change. That's not a coincidence that caterpillar goes from that to a butterfly. and it spends 14 days in that chrysalis. Everything is according to its purpose. I'm a firm believer of that. So when it comes to that caterpillar becoming that butterfly, and it spends 14 days in that chrysalis, it begins to emerge. But it doesn't just fly off right then and there. It has to let its wings dry, and it continues to just unfold and like unravel, for lack of better words. And then the wings spread out, and you get this most beautiful butterfly. I'm not sure how many species of butterflies there are, but so many species. There are like blue butterflies, white butterflies, yellow butterflies. The most popular butterfly, I'm pretty sure we all know, is the monarch butterfly. These are the most beautifulest patterns that come up when these caterpillars transform into these butterflies. Now, how does that relate to the spiritual journey? Caterpillars are not the only thing with imaginable discs. We have the same disc inside us, the same cells. We were born with them. Now, when we came into this world, we got caught up in this construct. We got caught up in the perspective that people placed upon us, that we placed upon ourselves. Our perception had to do with a lot of that. So we start to, I'm gonna say, bury who we are. And eventually, when you're on this journey and you come back online, those cells become activated, just like they did in that caterpillar. When those cells become activated, they don't stop. They continue to multiply. So what's going to happen in between that time? What do you think is going to happen? The same thing that happened to that caterpillar. But instead of us turning into goo, because like I said, it's a metaphor, think about it as the old you, your old self, the self that you thought you were, is dying. Now, we know that when things die, it don't die, because we're all energy. Energy never dies, it just takes on a new form. The energy inside your body, the energy, your cells, they're dying. So when they're dying and these imaginable discs have come online, they're taking over that. So it's going to be painful for us. That pain comes in triggers. That pain comes in uncomfortability. That pain comes in wanting to give up and just say fuck it and go back to your normal life. But the thing is, everything is according to its purpose. You came into this life with a mission and you forgot. You come back online and now you said, I'm ready. I'm ready to walk in my most authentic skin. I'm ready to be the most authentic version of myself. And in order to do that, it's going to be a painful process. It's going to be an uncomfortable process, because you have to shed everything that you thought you knew. Just like that caterpillar had to shed its skin, literally split itself open to become that butterfly. It's like you're doing the same thing. We are doing the same thing. So when it comes to this process, I want you to have grace for yourself, and I want you to be easy with yourself. I want you to understand that it's a part of the process. And even though you may have forgotten, and now you're starting to remember because you're coming back online, they were always there. It's not anything new. This is not something that you have to learn. This is just something that you have to remember. That caterpillar didn't go through a life of trauma and all that. That's the most beautiful, that's the thing about nature. If you watch nature, and it's authentic. There is no influence. Animals, insects, all those things like that, they don't have the capability of having, like, what's an example? Okay, a bird. So think about a bird. There's this bird, and it builds a nest every year. It builds a nest so it can attract a mate. That mate, the female, comes through and she looks at the nest, and if it's to her liking, she'll go with that bird. If not, she'll move on. That bird didn't say, oh man, she didn't pick me. I guess I'm not worthy enough. I guess I'm not this. I guess I'm not that. That bird didn't say that. All that bird did was continue to make that nest beautiful, and then to try it again next year. The animals don't have to deal with any of that. But we do, but that's okay, because we're learning to navigate it. We're learning how to navigate all this turbulence and all this uncomfortability with grace. It's not that you're not going to feel it. because that caterpillar felt everything that was happening inside that chrysalis. You can't stop the feeling, because that's like, you're here for the experience. The only thing that you can do is understand the experience, which makes it a more graceful experience. It makes it a more graceful experience. So I want you to think about that. If you need to rewatch this and listen to that again, go ahead and do that, because I want you to hear it with your eye. I want you to understand it so you can understand it, and then watch it again so you can overstand it, and then you'll begin to exostand it. That's the whole point of all this, because when you get to the point of exostanding it, that's when you know that you're looking at it as the observer and you're not being the subject of it. Okay? So with that being said, I want y'all to like, share, and subscribe this video. And with that being said, I trust that this video finds everybody in good grace. And until next time, deuce deuce.